Main problem that I see is right now we have all the governments in the world, most of them, printing huge amounts of money, which has never happened before. It's going to lead to big problems down the road. Throughout history, when you print staggering amounts of money, it's led eventually to problems, and we have never in world history had so much money printing as we have now. Well, all this money printing, I have had more commodity investing, let's put it that way, because of the money printing throughout history. When you print a lot of money, it has led to inflation, and inflation means higher prices, which means commodities will go up. And as I look around the world, I mean, you can see that bonds are definitely a bubble. Bonds have never been this expensive in world history. Property in many countries is a bubble. You go to Korea or New Zealand, many places, it's a bubble. Stocks are beginning to form bubbles in many places. I mean, Apple goes up every day, 10 cents, things like that. The only things that are still down are commodities. I mean, silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Sugar's down 60%. Those are not bubble numbers when you talk about things that are down 60%. So commodities are the cheapest place, and I've invested more in agriculture and other commodities in the last year or so. Two things will happen. One, things will just get so overpriced, there won't be anybody left to buy, and then they start selling, and then there's nobody left to buy, and the prices go down a lot. But also interest rates will go higher. Eventually, interest rates have never been this low in world history. So when interest rates start going higher, a lot of people are going to have to sell. There are always some people are overextended, and when they start having to sell, it usually crescendos, and then you have a big bear market. I'm sure the next bear market we have will be the worst in my lifetime. We had a big bear market in 2008 because of too much debt. Well, since 2008, I mean, the debt has skyrocketed everywhere. We've never seen so much debt. So the next bear market has to be the worst in my lifetime because of all this debt. When there's inflation, prices go up. And if you own the things that go up in price, whether it's sugar or silver or whatever, you usually will make money, or you certainly will protect yourself. So the best opportunities I see are in real assets. Also, though, whenever you have a big disaster, it usually leads to opportunities. For instance, right now, travel and tourism and entertainment are all demolished in many countries, and there are probably opportunities there developing I bought Chinese wine stocks recently because people stopped going out. They stopped going to restaurants, stopped going to bars. So maybe there's an opportunity there. Often when there is a disaster, it does lead to an opportunity. Well, I said bonds are the biggest bubble they've ever been. That's not an opportunity. Commodities are very cheap. Silver's down 60%. Didn't you hear what I said? This is an opportunity. Bonds are not an opportunity. Maybe I'm not making myself clear. Some markets are certainly great opportunities, some are not. Well, I am not selling anything yet, and I'm not selling short anything yet. I see bubbles starting to develop, but at the moment, it doesn't look like we're in enough of a bubble, maybe bonds, but nothing else for me to sell short yet. Many stocks in the US, which is the biggest market, are not up a lot. Some are in a clear bubble, but many stocks this year are down, or last year were down in 2021. So it's not a full-fledged bubble yet, but it looks like it's going to develop into a full-fledged bubble, at which point I'll have to sell, and I'll start selling short. I hope I'm smart enough. I think what you need to do is to watch the desire to trade, to figure out when it's time to sell the bubble. I don't know. Bubbles usually ruin two kinds of people. They ruin the skeptics first, the people who say this is a bubble and it's crazy. Then they get ruined. And then the people who believe in the bubble get ruined, because then the bubble eventually collapses and they lose everything because they thought it was real. So I don't know. I'm not very good at market timing. I have been around bubbles before. I have sold bubbles. I have shorted bubbles. But bubbles can be very, very confusing. But when bubbles come, everything collapses. Nearly everything, not everything. Most things disappear. in the let's use 1999, that was a recent bubble in the US. It was the dot-com bubble. Many of the dot-com stocks, which were not real companies, some of them, totally collapsed and disappeared. Some survived and did well. I mean, Amazon is now a great success. But if you shorted at Amazon in that bubble, you would have made a lot of money for a while. But it is a company which went on to become a great success. Usually, there's always somebody that survives, but most bubble stocks disappear. I told you, watch the desire to trade. Always somebody who will survive. You look at their balance sheets, you look at their business, you look at the competition, you look at the people, are the people smart people? No, it's the same thing that you would look at when you're trying to decide on any investment. It's exactly the same thing. It's more difficult in a bubble because usually there's a lot more competition in a bubble. Many new companies start up, and you have to decide which ones are really sound. But it's the same thing. Investing is pretty much the same always. I didn't say it was easy. I just said it's pretty much the same. Well, these days, nearly everything is a fact. I mean, the internet makes everything instantly. We can know what's happening in Korea and New York instantly, all over the world. There's no such thing as a very few remote markets now that we do not know about or cannot find out about as soon as we want to. And invest. We can invest in many markets and in many industries almost immediately because of the internet. However, there's a difference in information and in judgment. If 100 people go into a room and they all hear the same information at the same time, most of them will not get it right. Judgment is the hard thing, and I don't know how to teach judgment. You ask about some successful investments before, but for whatever reason, they have good judgment and they get the same information that other people get, but they know how to use judgment different. I don't know how to teach it. I wish I did. Well, the most important lesson that I have learned is only invest in what you yourself know a lot about. Now, everybody listening to this knows a lot about something, whether it's cars or fashion or sports or something. And if you stay with what you know, what you yourself know, don't listen to the internet, don't listen to the TV, don't listen to anything. Everybody knows a lot about something. And if I told you you can only have 20 investments in your life, you would be very careful. You wouldn't jump around all the time. You would wait until you see something that you know is going to be successful. Then you would do research and you would invest and you would probably become a successful investor. Now, some people would say, but that's boring. You want to be successful. Don't worry about being boring. Be boring and be very successful. Read as much as you can. You must know about markets. You must know about the world. You must know what's going on. But again, stay with what you know. If I told you to buy something, you should not buy it. Maybe you should go and do some research. Maybe you should learn about it. But do not buy something based on what I or anybody else says unless you yourself know a lot about it. I know people don't want to hear that. Everybody wants a hot tip. Everybody wants to be rich this month. Just give me one hot tip. Hot tips will ruin you. Hot tips will make you bankrupt. Stay away from hot tips. Well, as I said, everybody wants to be rich this month. I wish this were easy. I said before, most people, both professional and non-professional, do not make money in the markets and never have. It's not, everybody thinks it's easy. It looks easy. Everybody said, I could have bought Apple. No, most people did not buy Apple, back in those days. Most people did not buy the things that they think look easy. This is not an easy way to make money, and it never has been and never will be. It's always hard and hard work. You have to be disciplined.